You know, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was a little kid sitting in the back of the car with me and my brothers. We'd be on a road trip or going to the store, and we would pass all these fast food restaurants like McDonald's, Starbucks, Wendy's, especially Chick-fil-A. So it would be a random day. Me and my brothers are in the car, and I'd be like, hey, we passed Chick-fil-A, but when we're done, we can come back and we can get Chick-fil-A. We've got to convince mom to let us get Chick-fil-A. So I'd be like, hey, mom, can we get Chick-fil-A? She'd be like, no. And then I'd be like, all right, Braden, go ahead, say something. He'd be like, can we get Chick-fil-A? And she'd be like, really? I'm like, Carson, go ahead. We would all be like, please, 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 can we get Chick-fil-A? And she was like, she hit us with this one line every single time, and it's the easiest way to shut up all your kids. Do you have Chick-fil-A money? And of course, we would stop because, no, we didn't have any money. We're little kids. We weren't thinking about bills, groceries, gas prices. We weren't thinking about any of that, right? All we wanted was a chicken sandwich. Now that I'm older, I realize it wasn't for nothing. She was teaching us lessons, teaching us when we were supposed to say no, and little things like discipline. But if you look even deeper, sometimes the lesson is bigger than that. It's preparation, right? So sometimes we don't get what's shaping us more than sometimes we don't get the things that are shaping us more than the things that we do get. And that's exactly how God works sometimes. He doesn't have to answer us right away. He doesn't always explain himself, right? But there's purpose behind it. There's a lesson, protection, and preparation, even when we don't understand, right? But we all been there, asking why. Like, God, why is this happening? Why the pain? Why aren't you answering my prayers the way I want to? Maybe for some of us, it's deeper than Chick-fil-A. Well, most of us, it's deeper than Chick-fil-A. During the series, we're studying the Gospel of John. And seeing that I'm kind of new to this whole thing, I had a lot of questions. Me and Pastor Chris were sitting down. We were reading this. He was even to the point, he was like, why did I give you this passage? Because I really didn't know where I was going to take it. Right? So in that process, I was asking why. And now that I'm looking back in the rearview mirror, I understand. Right? So if you will all open your books to John chapter 2, verse 1 through 11. We're going to see Jesus do something that its purpose isn't revealed until the end. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. So let's pause. For context, Cana is about 20 miles from where Jesus is from in Nazareth, right? Back in those times, that would be a 7 to 8 hour walk. For Jesus, that's no thing, and for people back in that time, they walked everywhere unless you had the opportunity to have a camel or some type of thing to take you places, right? Also, another thing to note, weddings during this time were very, very, very long, like week-long celebrations. So they were a big, big, big staple point to the family's prosperity. They're a public symbol of honor, reputation, and family pride, right? So let's get back into it. In verse 3, when the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, they have no more wine. Woman, why do you involve me? Jesus replied, my hour has not yet come. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Here, I pause. If I talked to my mother and said woman, I might come out of the conversation with no teeth. So that was another thing. Like, why did Jesus talk to his mother like that? I eventually learned that back in those times, a son, a father, or even a husband would call a woman, right? So it wasn't out of disrespect, right? Another thing to note that Jesus said, it's not my time. Eventually, he's going to get to that point where he is doing all these miracles and he wants people to see, but sometimes he doesn't, right? But another thing is Jesus' mother had the courage and the knowledge that Jesus was able to do these things, even though this was his first miracle, right? But I also learned that running out of wine was no small inconvenience. This is actually like public shame. so to say. It was a small thing for us, but for them, this was huge, right? Think about this. We all know about Thanksgiving. We all get together for Thanksgiving. Some of us might have Thanksgiving by ourselves. Most of us, we are all invited to a big gathering for Thanksgiving. We're all expecting turkey, ham, mac and cheese, etc. But we all get there, some coming from different states, different towns, different cities. We all get there. Everybody's excited. The sun starts going down, and then we're handing out Danimals and deli meat, which is the little yogurt snacks, right? Everybody will be looking around like, what is this? What happened? I'm not eating this, right? But that's the level of shame that they're facing, right? So, okay, back to verse 6. Nearby stood six stone water jars, the kind used for Jewish ceremonial washings, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. These jars are important to the culture, and they would have them around. Okay? Verse 7. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. And then he told them, "Now draw some out and take it to the headmaster." And they did so. The master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he came to the bridegroom aside. Then he called the bridegroom to his side, said, "Everyone brings out the choice of wine first, then the cheaper after." The guests had no idea when the guests had too much to drink, but you have saved the best till now. So basically, Jesus and these group of random guys that are now his disciples with his mother go to a wedding, and the wine has ran out. Jesus' mother's pulling his arm like, please, fix this problem, right? So he goes to the servants go, they pick up these huge, large things that are holding water, and he just tells them, scoops them out and give it to the headmaster, and he turns water into wine. No, people that drink wine tastes better the longer that it sits. So something that was just water is now the best wine that's had, and typically they would send out the worst wine at the end of the wedding. Okay? So I kept reading this over and over again, trying to understand what it is that this passage was even trying to tell us. And some people saw stuff. Some people didn't see anything. But some people even benefited from it. Right? So I'm just going to take into the different perspectives that saw this. First, we have Mary. Right? Mary is Jesus' mother. She had him, but she didn't have him by normal means. See, Mary, when she was younger, was engaged to a man named Joseph. Right? They were going about their time. They're about to get married or whatever. And then an angel comes to them and says, "You're going to have a baby by the Holy Spirit, and everyone's not going to like it. Somebody's going to try to kill you, but he's going to save the world." Right? And Mary just said, all right. She just listened. She had the faith, and she was ready to go out, and she fed this man. She cooked and cleaned. She taught him, did everything that a mother would do. But she still had faith in him at the end of the day that he was going to be able to provide this thing, right? Then we have the servants. They watched this happen, right? They had no idea what just happened. They just picked up these extremely large jars, filled them with water, and all of a sudden they turned into wine, and the party just kept going, right? I'm sure they had plenty of questions, but they might not have been in a place to even ask those questions, right? They were just innocent bystanders. Then we have the master of the banquet. This guy is in charge of the whole ceremony, so to say. He's giving out wine, giving out snacks, entertaining guests. He's in charge of all the other stuff that typically would go on with a wedding. He has no idea. He probably was standing up there thinking, all right, the wine's gone. I'm going to have to tell the guests that we're going to have to do something else. The wedding's going to come on for a couple more days, but we're just going to have to do something, right? Then the servants come, give him a water. He's like, oh, my goodness, this is good. This is the best wine I've ever had, right? So he just benefited from it, and the party can commence. Now, don't even get me started on the bridegroom. This guy was the planner of the wedding. Typically in this culture, the bridegroom was the main event for the wedding. Now it's reversed in our culture, but he was the main one starting the planning. He would then have the wedding and then invite his wife to join him and his family. But he's sitting there. He probably knows the wine's gone. He's like, all right, now what are we going to do? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden there's wine. He's like, yeah, all right, let's go. I don't know where it came from. Thank you, Lord. But we got wine now, right? So this guy just takes all the credit and has no idea what just transpired. Then we're going to clear the stage because the disciples were, again, this random group of guys. They were fishermen, tax collectors. Some of them were in some serious debt. And they come together as a group, and they're following this guy around. And at this point, they have no idea what they're gotten into. But eventually, this is his first sign, right? So they're like, oh, my goodness, this guy just did something crazy, right? But they literally have no idea who this guy is and what they're doing. But they haven't seen anything yet. And that is the main piece. I was so confused as why I was reading this, understanding it. I read it in different languages. I tried to understand the background and different perspectives. And none of it was really making sense of why this story was really here, though. But it hits us in verse 11. See, what Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. See, it built their faith. And there's the intention, right? Literally, these guys know that they're going to eventually see Jesus die. They're going to eventually see themselves get prosecuted for their faith, persecuted for their faith. A lot of them will be put in jail, beaten, and they're going to face a numerous amount of trials. But they just watched this miracle, and they have no idea, though. They have no idea why they need this built up. They're just sitting there in the car seat, and they're driving along the road like, hey, we're just on a road trip. Right? But Jesus turned water into wine, and they had to be thinking, what else can he do? So we're going to follow him. And they believed in him. See, Jesus didn't do the miracle for attention, though. He did it to build their faith. He wasn't concerned with everybody saying, oh, my goodness, wow, you did this. Matter of fact, he didn't even want to do the miracle in the first place. But he did. But this changes how we look at our lives. Because many of us are in different situations asking why the struggle, why the delay, why the pain. But maybe the better question is, God, how am I going to be able to use this to build my faith? It's not always to show everybody else. Sometimes it's personal. You ever been there trying to explain a situation or something that you experienced to somebody and they just don't get it? Because it wasn't for them. It's for you. You experienced it for a reason. Just like the disciples, they saw it, but the servants also saw it and had no idea what just happened. Some of what God is doing is personal. It's intentional because God's purpose is to build our faith in our own different way. So, as many of you know, I'm a high school athlete. I play football, and I also run track. But it's been my dream to play football at the highest level I can possibly play, whether it be Division I or in the NFL. It's been my dream for a really long time. I didn't even want to tell the story. But I've been playing. I played Pee-wee. I played middle school ball. I played high school ball. And I was doing my time. I was paying my dues. I was getting everybody, and I was trying to put in the work. But my junior season comes around. I'm balling out, and I'm starting to get these looks at. I'm getting these college guys coming in. They're taking my phone number. They're even asking for my film and doing all this type of stuff, right? The whole process, right? And I'm thinking, oh, this is great. My dream is coming true. I'm finally going to get it. I got some Division I, Division II guys, Division III, all talking to me. They weren't official offers, but they were just getting to know me. And then my senior season comes around. I play harder. I do better. I have a 3 times better of a season than I did the last year. But the off season rolls around, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking around, and there's nobody to be found. Right? And I'm sitting here asking why. God, I put in all the work. I did all the stuff. I lifted. I paid my dues. I was sitting behind some of these seniors, and I finally got my opportunity, and I have nothing to show for it. The guys aren't talking to me anymore. I'm trying to see if I can get visits. I'm emailing, texting, nothing. And so I'm sitting there just saying, like, why? Why is this not working? Like, what did I do wrong? And eventually, I got one offer from a small school in Virginia. And I really didn't want to go. But I went through the process. I went to a visit. I was like, okay, it's cool. Academics are great. Whatever. The football, but it's okay, right? But I kept going through the process, and I got my FAFSA. And they said, all right, you're not going to have to pay much. So I was like, okay, that's a plus. But I'm still, in my mind, I'm still looking for something else. I'm still waiting for something more to come, and it doesn't. And I'm still asking why. Like, why? I'm supposed to be better than this. All the coaches, everybody was just telling me that I'll be able to make it to the higher level, but I got this low level of school. But I'm grateful because I got the opportunity. But it didn't take me but so long to realize that nothing else was coming. So I had to take what I got. I'm planning to go to the school. But to be honest with you, I'm still in my why. I haven't got to the point where I can look back in the rear view and be like, oh, this is why I got to the school. This is why I'm here. So that's just that. But where does that leave us as people? See, we're all going to go through things. We're all going to experience moments that we don't really understand. But one day we'll be able to look back and understand what happened, why we did it this way, why God put it in my life this way. We'll be able to look back in the review. We'll finally be able to see clearly. But this moment built our faith. This moment, this struggle built our faith. The season built our faith. But as a church, we won't be just asking why anymore. We'll start saying, God, whatever you're doing, build our faith through it. Because at the end of the day, God's purpose is to build our faith. Because without him, and if we knew everything, we wouldn't need him. So every week at Venture Church, we have a challenge for ourselves to take home. And this week's challenge, you'll put it up on the screen. This week's challenge is look into the rearview mirror at a why you used to have. Remind yourself that the lesson that God taught you and how he grew your faith. See, some of us may be like little Ty in the back seat, trying to get our friends to agree with us so that we can get something and get ourselves some food. And God is just sitting in the driver's seat like, nah, it's not your time. This is not the time for it. You'll eventually learn in the end, but he's not going to say that. But one day, you will be able to be in the driver's seat and look and understand that this is why this happened. This is why it happened this way. So, let's pray.